What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge. It is Spencer Holbrook. It is Matt Parker. And Matt, it is Brock Glenn, the 2023 four-star quarterback, Memphis, Tennessee, the number 20 quarterback in the country, according to the On3 Consensus, has chosen the Buckeyes, picks him over Florida State, over Auburn, who was the large favorite for a long time in this recruitment. Ryan Day and the Buckeyes take care of business on the recruiting trail, picking up their quarterback and really solidifying the depth chart for the future, whatever it may look like. Kyle McCord will be on the roster next year, Devin Brown, and then Brock Glenn, and eventually Dylan Raiola. But Ryan Day, Corey Dennis, and the offensive staff get it done again on the trail with a four-star quarterback. Matt, your initial thoughts as Brock Glenn picks the Buckeyes?
I think it has to be if you're Ohio State and you're Ryan Day, you can breathe just for a second. But this has been a tough couple of days for Ohio State, for Ryan Day. Mainly that has been on the defensive side, but offensively it has been tough for Ohio State as well, with a couple of swings and misses at offensive tackle here in July. But to get your quarterback position, without a doubt, the most important position on a football field, to get your pledge, to have it be Brock Glenn, it has to be a celebration for Ohio State, for Ryan Day, for Corey Dennis.
So as I turn on the film for Brock Glenn, and like you said, this is a very good pickup for the Buckeyes. I turn on the film, I see somebody who's mobile enough, has the right pocket presence, throws a really nice strike over the middle, even when he's got some guys bearing down on him from the defensive side. The feet are a little jittery. If we're going to get into a full-fledged scouting report, it looks like he's got every tool you could need. His rollouts, he can turn his hips. I will say this: the feet are jittery, but at the same time, the Lettermen Row people have come to know me a little bit as a guy who studies film. But at the same time as having those quick jittery feet a little at times, Brock Glenn has a knack for setting those feet when it's time to deliver the ball, and that's the kind of tool that Ryan Day looks for. You can't teach that kind of stuff in game. It's really hard to teach that, and so I think Ryan Day and Corey Dennis do see those tools when you watch Brock Glenn on the film. You got to remember also, Matt, this is a kid who didn't camp at Ohio State when he was going to and still got an offer. Austin Novosad came, the Baylor commit, and camped and earned an offer. Brock Glenn did not camp at Ohio State and still earned an offer. Ohio State obviously liked what they saw on film from Glenn, and now he's in the class with four incredible receivers. He's in the class with a really talented running back, a lot of good offensive line prospects already committed, and it's one thing for an offensive lineman or a defensive back to reach out to these recruits and say, hey, come join us. It's another thing for a quarterback to do it. I think this helps out Ohio State on the trail quite a bit moving forward.
Well, let me address the first thing that you had said, talking about his film tape. I watched it as well, and the first thing that stuck out to me was his pocket presence, his ability in the pocket to move around, to step up into the pocket when it's collapsing. That's a hard thing for anyone to do, regardless of what level you're at, let alone a high school football player. You'll see a bunch of high school quarterbacks across the country just not have that. They won't have that. But that's the difference between someone who goes to a four-year institution to go on into a career versus someone that goes to Ohio State to play quarterback, to play for national championships. And I think that's the point right there that you mentioned. He didn't camp at Ohio State. And in fact, he only took one visit to Ohio State. He got offered on June 7th, took an official visit on June 17th, and we've spent the last however long it's been talking about Austin Novosad, maybe one sentence about Brock Glenn, and that's the guy. That's been the guy the entire time. So clearly there was something that Ryan Day and Corey Dennis saw without seeing him in person throw a football that they really liked. And if it's me, I'm thinking it is that pocket presence, that mobility in the pocket, especially when it's collapsing, when it's moving. He has a great ability with that. And as well, you mentioned talking about the throws that he makes over the middle. His short to intermediate game is really one of the strengths of this quarterback. 6'1.5", you can round up to 6'2" because he'll get rounded up to 6'3" probably when he's listed on a depth chart. 195 pounds. That looks a lot like 205 to me, but he makes those short to intermediate throws. And I know we've seen Ohio State's offense like to really air it out every now and then down the field, but that short to intermediate, that's the bread and butter of this Ohio State offense. And that's the skill set that he brings. So having Brock Glenn join the class is a lot bigger than I think people are going to understand, myself included, because we were looking about this and we've been so focused on what it would mean for Austin Novosad. And I think that's because we get lost in the rankings a little bit. You see Austin Novosad, he's a top 150 guy, I believe. Brock Glenn is on the On3 Consensus Rankings 375. And it's funny how much rankings can play into that. But the difference between these two quarterbacks, yes, their skill sets are different, but that doesn't mean one is necessarily marginally better than the other. And Brock Glenn has a lot of positive things to offer for Ohio State. You also mentioned his footwork. That's yes, he's not a perfect prospect by any means, but there are things to teach and there are things to learn. And just reading some of the scouting reports, some of the intel, especially from On3 Director of Recruiting Chad Simmons that he's provided, it's the opportunity to learn under Ryan Day and under Corey Dennis. That was the big selling point for Brock Glenn to go to Columbus.
And I think, Matt, he's probably the perfect fit for exactly what Ohio State needed in this class. Ohio State did not need the number one overall player in the country. They got that in 2022. They didn't even need the a five-star player like they got in 2021 with Kyle McCord and Quinn Ewers, who obviously eventually, transferred out. And then in 2024, you've got the number one overall player coming in as well in Dylan Raiola, who's already recruiting for the Buckeyes. You needed a guy who's going to come in and work really hard and eventually – in the lineage of these quarterbacks, is going to have a chance to be the starting quarterback of Ohio State. I know that's crazy to say because the two guys that he's sandwiched between are so good. But, if Kyle McCord wins the job next year, which I do expect him to do, he's too far ahead right now of Devin Brown, I think, even as early as we are in the 2023 quarterback battle. Kyle McCord plays 1 year. Then Devin Brown can play 1 year and go to the NFL. And then it is a second-year Dylan Raiola, if I have it correctly. It's a second-year Dylan Raiola versus third-year Brock Glenn. And, it's a quarterback battle. He's got a chance. And so, this is not one of those things where he automatically is just, well, that guy's going to be here for a couple of years and end up transferring out. Brock Glenn, these kids, if you're a top 20, 25 quarterback in the country, you go somewhere to compete and learn under the best coaches in the country. And Ryan Day obviously is one of the best quarterback coaches in the country. And Corey Dennis, let's stop and give him some credit. One of the best recruiters of quarterbacks in the country. Because as good as Ryan Day is at developing them, Corey Dennis relates to these guys really, really well. And so all that is to say, Brock Glenn is a good talent. It's a good pickup for Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes are really excited about what he could provide to all of this. And what could happen there, in the middle of what could be a pretty crazy quarterback battle down the road. I know it's hard to look at it like that, but from my side, you're the recruiting side, and you give a good scouting report. Chad gives a good scouting report from On3 National. But from the team side, where the way I look at it, this could be a big part of the future at Ohio State, and I think Brock Glenn means a lot for the program moving forward.
And to touch on that just a little bit, the competitive side of it. These high-level Power 5 guys, they all love to compete. Every single one of them, they'll say that they love to compete. They love the competition. And that's why if you're a quarterback, you go to Ohio State. Look at the product that Ryan Day and Corey Dennis have sent. Justin Fields, first-round draft pick. C.J. Stroud, more likely than not, will be the number one pick in the upcoming 2023 NFL draft. Then you have Kyle McCord, 5-star. Devin Brown, 5-star. All of these guys in the waiting, it wasn't by accident that they went to Ohio State. It wasn't. It was a calculated plan. And for someone that is a 4-star, has all these rankings, whatever, he has the talent to compete at Ohio State. That's why he got the offer. That's why he took the official. That's why he made the commitment. And so it does create such an interesting combination of competitiveness and being around those other guys in that quarterback room. Most likely, does he early enroll? Does he not? Whether he does or doesn't, just being around that talent so early and so young gives him an upper leg. It really does. And I think that's, again, if you're a quarterback, how could you not want to go to Ohio State? That might be a little scarlet glasses right there, but you can't argue with the track record that Ryan Day and Corey Dennis have put forward so far in their tenures at Ohio State.
Well, and it's really not scarlet colored glasses, especially in this instance, particularly because we'll just be honest here. Brock Glenn's first name is not Brock. Brock Glenn's first name is Auburn. Brock Glenn's grandfather graduated from Auburn. The family has loved Auburn. He obviously is named Auburn and had every chance to commit to Auburn and chose Ohio State instead. And so the opportunity to play for Ryan Day and Corey Dennis is bigger than anything for these quarterbacks right now. And I understand a lot of these quarterbacks not wanting to step into that because Devin Brown is a special player. Dylan Raiola is as special of a player as we might see at the high school level. And so to be the guy between the guys, it can't be easy. And so Brock Glenn takes this opportunity, and now he is commit number 20 in the Ohio State recruiting class. Matt, this doesn't really impact receivers just because Dylan Raiola has done such a good job of recruiting receivers in 23 and 24, and those guys are so close already. Like I said, it is going to be a big deal for a quarterback to be able to reach out to recruits, maybe offensive linemen, maybe running backs. But with as much as this offensive class is already settled, you wonder how much of an impact Brock Glenn actually has on the 2023 class itself.
There has to be some kind of cachet to it. You are the quarterback commit for the Ohio State University, for position group that has gone to the NFL. We've talked about the success of quarterback at Ohio State. Now he can throw that weight around on the recruiting trail for Ohio State. And I think one of the ways that he could utilize that pitch is for defensive backs, for safeties, for the front seven guys, for linebackers, and be like, hey, we're building something special here. We have it on offense already. We have Brandon Ennis, we have Noah Rogers, we have Carnell Tate, we have Bryson Rogers, we have Mark Fletcher, Jelani Thurman, Ty Lockwood. We have all of these guys, and we want guys that special on the defensive side to compete against every day. It's that cliche, iron sharpens iron. Yeah, it's very tacky, but you know what? It's true. It's very true. And that's the pitch that has to be made if you're the quarterback commit for Ohio State's 2023 class. So you can go out and you can go get guys like Mateo Ukulele. You can go ahead and get guys. I tried my best. You can try and get guys like Desmond Umeozulu. You can get guys like Arvell Reese to maybe make that pledge a little bit earlier than you would like. And we got some comments from Ryan Day on Big Ten Media Day about the recent recruiting tumbles. You can look more at that at lettermenrow.com. But they just need some help defensively. And offensively, that's the push. That's the push that has to be made. We want to compete against good talent.
Brock Glenn is commit number 20 for Ryan Day and Ohio State. It's a big one, folks. He's the quarterback commit in the 2023 class. Lettermen Row will have full coverage of that as we have full coverage of Ohio State recruiting and football all season long. Getting closer to football season, it's a great time to check out the Lettermen Lounge podcast, the Lettermen Lounge message board on our site. You can subscribe. I think we're getting a discount code here soon, so make sure you look out for that. And Lettermen Row covering Ohio State football all year round. We will see you next time.